And welcome back to Ski the Dream on skitv.tv. My name is Michael Conniff, your host and editor at large at Ski TV. And I am very happy to be joined by Stuart Bernard, who is a longtime ski instructor who's done some what I think are pretty innovative things in expanding his reach beyond just skiing to some more general business and business motivational work. But welcome, Stuart. Great to have you.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be on here and talking to you. So thank you.
Yes, and you are in. Where are you right now? I always like to know where people are because we're talking to people all over the world.
So I'm in the UK at the moment, just outside London.
And when was the last time you skied?
So the last time I skied was actually in the UK, in one of the snowdomes down here, near London, somewhere called the Snow Centre.
Yes, I saw that on your LinkedIn account. You seem to have a pretty good time there.
Yeah, yes, I'm in quite a lot of snowdomes in the UK. Yes, yeah.
So they're popular there. People do use them.
Yeah, they do actually. Actually, like culturally, I think it's changing a little bit in the UK. Like, so a lot of people kind of treat it, I guess, a bit like going to a tennis club or something like that. So you get the same people there, kind of week on week. Yeah, that type of thing.
So like a social club.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah,
social
definitely.
Club. And normally, you would find yourself in Teens, France, at the resort there. Is that right? That's sort of your home away from home in the winter?
Yes, that's correct. That's what I do normally. This winter's obviously been a little bit different with COVID and things like that. So unfortunately, I've had to be based in the UK.
Yeah. And how many years had you been going to France to that resort?
Since 2006. So
Oh,
quite
long
a long
time.
time.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
And I want to circle back to that experience and hear what that resort is like, because you're one of the people over there who are our lifeline to European skiing. I could tell you a fair amount about Western skiing in the U.S., and yeah, actually Eastern skiing for that matter, where I started. But so tell us when you first fell in love with skiing, and how difficult is it for somebody from the UK, where there isn't a lot of skiing, to fall in love with skiing and kind of feed that, scratch that itch?
Well, I guess I probably first of all was like with family holidays initially, where we used to didn't go to Teen actually. Used to go a lot to Val Thorens, which is in that kind of area in France. So initially was from family holidays, and then from the point where I got to kind of the age of 16, then I started to. Well, I was actually it was my mum suggested maybe doing the first level ski instructor qualification, and that was my first experience skiing on a dry slope in the UK initially, which is slightly different from the snowdomes. It's like it's a bit like a toothbrush in a way.
How's that? Just describe that for us.
So it's like they're like bristles
Oh,
on,
okay.
yeah. So they're kind of diamond shaped bristles. That doesn't really make a lot of sense,
And you
but
ski on them.
yeah. So that was my originally like based in like skiing in the mountains, but then as
Yeah.
I kind of started on the ski instructor path, then kind of experimented with trying it out on the dry slope, which was a bit interesting initially, but soon
Well,
got used to it.
let me ask you: does this make people, skiers in the UK, a hardier group? Is it because they have to really, go somewhere to do the real, to do the big mountain skiing? Or do you think they're the ones that do ski? Are they more fanatical for that reason?
I guess you're going to have different kind of categories of that, and the people that
Yeah.
do ski on dry slopes or in snowdomes, and particularly the ones that ski regularly, they are the keen ones that want to, yeah, that will make every effort to ski in some form, even if it's not in a in a mountain environment. So yeah,
Yes.
definitely, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, but
That's
obviously you've got
right.
the other spectrum as well. But yeah,
That's what I love about the English language as spoken properly by people like yourself. A word like keen is so accurately describes. I'm keen to ski, right? I really want to get out there. So so you very early on at the age of 16 decided you wanted to be a ski instructor. Why is that?
Oh, that's a good question. So initially, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I finished school. I wasn't particularly academic. So my mum suggested, because I enjoyed skiing, maybe doing the first level qualification. And then I enjoyed, doing that first qualification. And I kind of fell into, because of my first kind of experiences before doing any exams initially, I had like a private lesson at one of these dry slopes. And I kind of started to work there after doing my first qualification, and kind of got surrounded by, I guess, like people that inspired me to kind of progress through the system, people that worked at these facilities, and then started teaching abroad as well. So I kind of was lucky in the type of people I was surrounded by, really, and then kind of carried it on from there.
And so you've been doing you've been a ski instructor for how many years now total?
Ooh, 27 years, I think, something like that. Losing
Okay.
track, but yeah,
Sounds
quite a
like
while.
you like it. What is it about being a teacher that you like?
I think it's seeing the improvement in people and the pleasure that they get from achieving whatever that might be. Whether it's just getting down the nursery slope for the first time, or skiing a black run for the first time, or whatever. So I think it's seeing that pleasure that people get from improvement, I guess.
And are many of your clients people that you see year after year after year?
So there's probably a core group of clients that are like that will ski with me. Well, they will ski with me both in the UK in snow domes, and ski with me in the mountains. So a core few of them are, and then when I'm based in Teen, like during the winter, then that changes slightly. There are people that will ski once a year with me, but maybe don't ski with me in the UK. So it's a bit of a mixture. So there are some that will ski year round, and some that will go out for their weekly holiday, like families, for example, that would
Sure.
go out for Easter week and then come back, and then I won't won't see them again for another year or so. So it's a real mixture.
And this year, of course, it's been hard to see anybody at all in any case, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this has been a year of survival. When I taught skiing to little kids because I had an ulterior motive. I was really not a good skier, and I taught it. I wanted to get better. I just wanted to be on skis for a couple of winters, so I taught at Smuggler's Notch in Vermont, which has an excellent reputation and an excellent school. But what I used to say, so I taught the really, 3 to 5 year olds, so very small. But what I would say to the parents is like, if their kid really got it, if they really took to it and had some basic level of coordination, but mainly that they liked it. I said, this is like teaching your kid, getting your kids so they can ski. It's like a ticket to ride, because they're going to be able eventually to have complete freedom on the mountain, to go with their friends, to do what they will. It's like a, what we pardon this reference, but it's like a Declaration of Independence. Which I shouldn't bring up to an Englishman, but that's really kind of what it's like. But it strikes me that as I heard you talk, that you can have improvement at so many different levels, and as long as there's improvement, let's say you're a basic blue kind of skier who you help them get up to the black slope, as you mentioned. That's pretty monumental for a skier to make that little bump, because you go from being like, well, I don't know, you go from the middle class to the upper class, I think, at least get a toe hold. So it must, and it's just, it's very exciting as a teacher, isn't it, to see improvement at whatever level a skier's at.
Oh, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Just to see the enjoyment that they get from achieving whatever that might be. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you have chosen to spend a lot of time at the teen resort in France. What made you pick that out initially?
So originally I chose teen because as I was progressing through like my ski instructor qualifications, a lot of the exams and the training was in teen in the first place. So I was kind of got used to the area, and also another friend of mine, he had bought a property there, and it just seemed like the right place because
Hmm.
back then when I was deciding where to be based and things like that, and as I was progressing through my qualifications, I was working a lot on another dry slope at the time in the UK, in High Wycombe, and I used to do a lot of race coaching. So Teen has a glacier, and when I was race coaching, I used to take some of the like the kids, the race kids, from the dry slope and take them to the glacier, so to train. So
So
that was
we call
really,
that a glacier, but it's ice essentially,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
it is,
So
which
why?
basically means that,
So you would
go
take
on.
them there to go faster, I assume.
Well, and so that they could train in the summer. So that was kind
Oh,
of the
okay.
idea. So I mean, it's changed a little bit now, I guess, with global warming and things. The glacier isn't open as long, but it's still open in the summer in Teen. So it meant that I could take my race kids from the UK in the summer and coach them for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, so however long it was.
Hmm.
So it actually made Teen to be a good base because that meant I could have summer skiing and winter skiing at one venue.
Oh, okay.
And that, because it's got a glacier, it means the season is much longer, and also it's high. So, like the resort itself, so it means that the season is much longer in the winter. So you could physically ski if you wanted to. You could ski from, I think it opens the beginning of October all the way through until May, for example. Like, so the season is very long. But even then, if you like traditionally you'll have like tourists from, I don't know, from December all the way through till April, May time. So the season is much longer than
Hmm.
if you went to a lower resort, which might start at Christmas time or the week before Christmas, say, and then finish at Easter. So it's the season is longer. So that was the kind of main reason, as well as the area is really, really well linked. So you can get um, from one area to the next really, really quickly because the lifts are all, like majority of them are high speed lifts. So you can get around the resort, and plus it's linked to Val d'Isere as well. So
Mhm.
you can get like access to a huge area and get around very, very quickly from one area to the next.
Is it the same lift ticket if you're at either of those resorts?
So you can buy a teen pass, or you can get an Espas Killy pass. So Espas Killy's for the whole area, and equally the same for if you're in Val d'Isere, you'd get a Val d'Isere pass or an Espas Killy pass. But yes, so you
You
could
can
do it on the same
basically.
pass. Yeah.
Now, when you're skiing on the glacier in May, do the conditions hold up? Are you dealing with some form of deteriorating conditions, or is the skiing pretty good there all the way through?
So obviously later on in the season, when it gets to April, May time, so like what they tend to do as it gets nearer the end of the season is they start to close, like for the last week or two, they start to close the main resort lifts, or some of them, so there is less skiing, and then they start encouraging people to go more on the glacier. So um, if you're on the glacier, the snow's normally really good, but depending on like how hot it is, obviously that's really it could do anything. But often, I have to say, end of the season, you often do get heavy snowfall. So it's weird. Like it's often you like I've left Teen like in May, and there's been a foot of snow overnight. Like
Hmm.
as resort is closed, so you just
Right.
don't know.
And
It could do anything.
what is it, how would you describe the snow at that time of year?
End of April, May time. So generally, if it's hot, then it's particularly lower down. It might be a bit hard initially because obviously it's been hot during the day, freezes at night, so the snow can be hard in the morning, and then it softens. But if you go up on the glacier, it's more like winter. So it depends where you are.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
but but generally, it will be hard snow in the morning, softens a little bit late morning, and then it will soften a lot kind of later on. but then you just aim to go higher. If you go higher, obviously the snow
Yeah.
is more wintry as opposed to spring-like.
So a
Yes,
good place to know about if you want to ski later in the season.
definitely.
And then you've taken good advantage of that. Now let me ask you, you have recently taken your expertise as a teacher, and I don't know if it was because of the pandemic or not, but you have also reoriented yourself toward things that are not directly related to skiing, that maybe are more in terms of personal growth, or how to do better in your business, those kinds of things. So tell us about um, how that evolution happened and why.
Okay, so the way it kind of happened was it was multiple things. Obviously, whenever the pandemic kind of hit, I was in teen, and we literally found out overnight that everything was closed. And then within a few days of that, it was announced that they were going to close the borders. So it was like, right, finish work and leave, basically. And because
Hurry and get
I
out
run
of
my
there.
own business,
Yeah.
basically it was just like, you can't take those clients anymore. And so I had to manage that. But then, so the next thing was, once I was back in the UK, is how can I generate an income and still do what I do? And initially, what I had to do was just pick up any work. So just work in the supermarket initially. But in the back of my mind was, how can I still do what I enjoy, but without anywhere to ski, basically? Because obviously we came back to UK and we were in lockdown in the UK as well. So there were no ski centres open or anything like that. So what I initially started with was, and I'm still doing now, is because I am a trainer for BASI, which is a British Association of Snow Sports Instructors. So I assess and train other ski instructors. Initially, my first port of call was to create like remote coaching courses online. So 4-week courses specifically designed for trainee ski instructors to kind of give them knowledge and to give people something to do whilst in lockdown, so they can still learn about skiing, but do it from their own home. So I had luckily I do a lot of video when I'm teaching anyway. So I had a lot of video footage of me and of other people, so I could use examples and things like that. So that was my initial kind of first, kind of approaches of how to manage still being within the ski industry, but not actually be on a slope. So that was my first part. And then from there, it kind of evolved, and I kind of experimented with running like online presentations about skiing and things like that. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to kind of go with that direction. I just kind of started delivering content, basically. From that point, actually, and I've got to backtrack a little bit. It's about maybe a bit longer. So 2017, I started on a personal kind of development journey, and that was triggered by, actually was for some health reasons. And I wasn't actually planning on kind of working on personal development. It just kind of worked out that way. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background, because that will help you understand the direction I took next. But basically, I had quite a lot of back problems, and also I got diagnosed with arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. And basically, through a number of, I spoke to a friend of mine who's a strength and conditioning coach, and he put me in contact with a nutritionist over in the States who suggested some diet changes and supplement changes and things like that. Because in the UK, they're not particularly into nutrition so much as in the standard practice through the NHS, for example.
The National
So
Health Service. Yeah.
National Health Service. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was told that I should take medication for my arthritis, which I did, but it's an autoimmune suppressant. And I wasn't really keen to continue down that path because obviously it weakens your immune system. You're more susceptible to getting sick, etc., etc. So I started on this journey of trying to look for an alternative. And through that process of speaking to this specialist in the States and working with the strength and conditioning coach, and in conjunction with the specialist in the UK, as in my rheumatologist, over a period of about 3 years, we managed to basically come off of all that medication. But that was through a combination of different things, and one of them was diet change. So I don't have gluten anymore, and I have very reduced dairy as a result of this process, and take supplements as well. Now, so that was one part of the story. The other part was, because of the back problems, I spoke to quite a lot of specialists, and a lot of them said to me, we think the back problems are stress related. And a lot of them suggested, and this was over this 3-year period, and I wasn't really ready to take on board what a lot of them said, but a lot of them said I would start pursuing like meditation, basically. And I was like, oh, no, I don't believe in that. Anyway, I started to get to a bit of a desperation point, and I went to a physio in Teen when I was over there, and a different one to who I'd normally see. And he's like the, I guess, the manager of the physio center that I was going to. And he goes, Stuart, I see you in here every month. It's not normal. It's not normal. You should be coming in here on a monthly basis. You need to start looking at things slightly differently. And he mentioned meditation again. So I then thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. So basically that started me on this kind of path of kind of personal development. So I started meditating, and from that point on, I've basically meditated pretty much every single day from that point onwards, along with the diet change. And then I started like investigating a little bit more into the personal development side of things. So listening to podcasts about it.
Sorry. How's your back?
The back is a lot better. I still get the pain, but what I have realized is going through the meditation process, diet change, the meditation has actually made me realize quite a lot of things about my body that I didn't even realize. I didn't realize that I was getting stressed. So it's helped me recognize, when I'm getting signals in my body that something is happening, then I can then move, and then the pain, I can manage it better. So it's not gone, but it's helped me manage it. Now, part of that process of this whole personal development process has led me to starting to journal on a daily basis as well, which in turn has meant a lot of self-reflection, and then incorporating other things into my routine. So I basically have a daily routine now, which consists of meditating, journaling, visualization, and doing some kind of activity every single day, and planning my life more effectively. So it's made me look at the whole picture rather than just kind of firefighting, as it were. So what I've learned from that process is, particularly now, I know I've kind of gone full circle now, particularly now in where we are now, or it's starting to come out of it now, but with COVID and things like that, is that whole process made me have a much more positive mindset through managing with COVID difficulties, psychologically and things like that. It made me look for positives rather than like, I can't work and then just getting down about it. It made me look at, okay, I can't do what I enjoy. Let's try and find an angle where I can earn an income, still do what I enjoy. So I kind of put a lot of those ideas that I came up with, as in delivering courses online, from going through that kind of personal development process, which then, because I've found the benefits to myself, I thought, you know what? Why not? Why don't I try and help others do the same thing? And that's where I've started to change my direct, not forget the skiing, still do that, but alongside it, work on mindset as well, to help people, not just in skiing, but also in their kind of daily life, really, and how they manage their expectations and manage how they maybe deal with certain situations, which have been highlighted to me as to what I didn't do, if that kind of makes sense.
And what kind of results are you having with you call it mindset, I think. What kind of results are you having with that new focus?
With me personally, or
With your clients?
Okay, so what I've found is I've done, as a bit of a trial, I ran, well, it was about 2 months ago now, I ran like a 7-day kind of mindset challenge, really. And within that challenge, people had to hit key goals every single day. And I created like a little Facebook group so everyone could see what everyone else was doing. And what I found was through that process, from what they were posting and how we were communicating with each other, because we did like an initial Zoom call to explain how it's going to go, and then one part way through the week, and then another one at the end, is people's confidence grew through going through that process, because a lot of the boundaries that we create are from like our past, essentially from childhood. We've picked up things in the past which have put natural blocks in front of us, and going through that process, people were starting to think, you know what, I have put this block here and it stopped me improving this area of my life. And it meant that they started to push themselves a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more throughout that week. Now, the interesting thing is that group is a closed group, so no one can see, only me and the others in the group, but people are still posting in there, and that's 2 months, nearly 2 months after it's finished. And in fact, I want to just highlight someone who was on it, and it's completely blowing how much they improved, because at the start, she was talking very much like, oh, I can't do activities and things like that. I've got this injury, etc. So what she did, and what I suggested, is just find other things to challenge you. So she's like, I find it really difficult to kind of keep my house tidy and things like that. So I was like, well, just start working on one thing at a time and just do small little challenges each day. And by halfway through, she posted in the group saying, oh, I've went for my first bike ride. I'm super motivated. Now, prior to that, she didn't want to exercise at all. And then and then after that point, she was riding every day. And then within about 3 weeks of that, she'd posted on Facebook saying, back to in the group, she was like, I'm going to do a charity bike ride, and I've got to do, I can't remember how many hundreds of miles in this period of time. After a month of her doing that, she posted saying that she'd successfully done 800 kilometers of bike riding. And basically that's down to like her mind, basically. It's all down to her mind, because she talked herself out of it. But within like a week, within less than a week, she was riding again. And then within 3 or 4 weeks of that, she's done 800 miles on a bike. Amazing.
There's a book I've looked at recently called Atomic Habits, which talks about the power you're familiar with. I think the guy's name is James Clear, but it's really micro habits, and it calls to mind somebody focusing on cleaning up their house ends up riding 800 kilometers.
I know.
He calls it the compound interest of a good habit, I guess you'd say. Now, let me circle, before I let you go, I want to circle back to the genesis of this as a ski instructor, because based on my experience as an instructor, I think most people think, or let's say many people think, that ski instructors live a very glamorous life. I would guess that they think they're much wealthier than they are. Most ski instructors are kind of on the level of poverty or near poverty, certainly in the off season. And I think that in reality, my experience in Vermont was that people above, let's say, the age of 50, or even sooner if they get an injury, they really start to get physically very beat up, because you're out on the slope every day, you're in the elements, that's a factor. But just the wear and tear, the normal, natural wear and tear, people get really worn down, I think. And I mean, I know of one case where one of the instructors there had to have a double hip replacement. That's just one example, which obviously for a ski instructor would be a very serious development and almost life-threatening, job-threatening. So, do you think that given that, and first of all, is that your experience too? Do you have a similar view of it, or where am I off?
So what I would say is well, I can't talk for outside of Europe, but in France, I would have said, from my experience, is probably the best paid in the world. I would have said for ski instructors, but so it's a really good like income in the winter time, and you can make really good money in the winter time. Definitely, the issue is obviously it's not year round, so that is the main issue. What I would say on like being tough on the body, I would agree with that. And actually, that was part of the reason with the strength and conditioning coach side of things, is why I pursued a lot more of my physical health as a result, because prior to that, I wasn't doing any extra other than skiing. Now, like you've said, it's hard on your body, even if it's just the cold. But what I've realized just through the personal development process is you need to look after every single area of your life, and that includes like your health, your physical health and what you eat.
Cross training, because skiing is not a good overall workout necessarily. It works certain muscles to an incredible degree, but if you're not cross training, you're probably going to start to get some injuries, I would think.
Definitely. Well, actually, so the strength and conditioning coach that I see now, when I first started with him, he said to me, a lot of like junior like ski racers have knee problems, and the reason that is, in his mind, is that just skiing alone causes muscle imbalance. So you can then start having knee issues because you've created great, strong quads, but weak hamstrings because you're not developing the whole picture basically. So that, like what you've just said, if you don't kind of look after the whole, I think that it would definitely cause some problems later on down the line.
And also for, it seems like your knowledge and expertise and approach might be very valuable, just addressing what ski instructors can do in the off season, other than, I mean, certainly to stay up physically, but with the rest of their life, they've got another 6 months, right, that they have to account for. And they're not necessarily people that have other skills that are highly developed. They might not have gone to school at all, to a higher education. So it sounds like you're going to have a lot of customers.
We shall see.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking this time with us. Stuart Bernard is a ski instructor based in the UK, but primarily on the mountain in Tignes, France, or I should say France. Now, what's the best way for people to find you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. The way to like keep in contact and see what's going on is through my social media. I do a lot on Facebook and Instagram. And
under your name, they can Google
under Ski Focus actually. So underneath
Ski
my
Focus,
company.
okay.
So under Ski Focus. The other way is through my website, which is Ski Focus again. If you just Google that, you'll come up with Ski Focus. And recently, actually, I've just set up an Instagram page, which is more on the mindset side of things rather than the skiing side of things. And that's under my name as well. So Stuart J. Bernard is what my Instagram is.
STUARTJBERNARD, correct?
STUART, yes.
Yes, okay. All right, well, terrific. Well, I must say before this conversation, I knew nothing of dry slopes and toothbrush conditions, diamond-shaped toothbrush conditions. But it really just shows that people are willing to go to the ends of the earth or indoors to do skiing, whichever is necessary. So thanks for being on Ski the Dream on skitv.tv, and we look forward to having you back sometime soon.
No problem at all. Thank you very much. It's been great to be on the call. So thank you.
Okay, take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.